depending on where you are watching this episode of Votum TV, the Heretics podcast. I'm Mike Krupa. I am your host. And today, for the first time, we have with us another great champion of liberty after our former interview with Dr. Ron Paul, the legend from New York, Judge Andrew Napolitano. Judge, how are you doing this afternoon?
Oh, Mike, I'm well and happy to be with you. I know it's my first time, and I don't think it will be my last.
Well, I sure hope not. I hope this will be one big step for mankind, as Neil Armstrong used to say, or one big step for a Votum TV in this regard. I know
Nicely
you,
put.
indeed. I know you have a tight schedule, Judge, so let's jump right into it. I looked at the Durham Report, which, apart from the fact that it exonerated President Donald Trump, but I got to ask myself, and I have been asking myself in discussions with a lot of other people, where is the justice? Where is the justice in all of this? Because the amount of crime that was documented in the report, including what I found to be the most fascinating, was probably the so-called Clinton plan, about which everybody knew, but nobody wanted to take into consideration. Just seems a travesty for me, because on the one hand, yeah, it does exonerate the president, but on the other, I mean, it's inconsequential. I would love to get your thoughts on this.
Well, in my opinion, the Durham Report was a massive cover-up for the people in the FBI who are just part of that government culture that never comes to a reckoning with truth. I mean, the job of the prosecutor is either to investigate, indict, and prosecute somebody, or to go home, issuing a 350-page report, patting himself on the back, telling us nothing new. We already knew everything that was in there, just doesn't cut the mustard. I mean, the FBI works for the DOJ. Without the DOJ, the FBI can't get an arrest warrant. It can't get a search warrant. It can't get grand jury subpoenas. Every single FBI agent works for a federal prosecutor, and all the federal prosecutors work for the DOJ. Right. Who ran the DOJ in this era? Loretta Lynch under Barack Obama, Jeff Sessions under Donald Trump, Rod Rosenstein after Jeff Sessions recused himself, and then a guy named Bill Barr. Bill Barr, he's the one who appointed John Durham, right? And he appointed him just to reinforce preconceived notions, but not to indict anybody. Nobody was indicted as a consequence of the violation of Donald Trump's civil rights by commencing a criminal investigation of him, actually a series of investigations based on politics, not based on facts, and not based on the law. Oh, yes, Durham did indict two people, both for lying to the FBI, two people nobody ever heard of.
Right.
How can it be a crime to lie to the FBI when the FBI is legally allowed to lie to us? When that argument was made to those two juries, they both acquitted the two people that John Durham invited. He did indict a young, right out of law school, deputy assistant general counsel for the FBI for altering a document that went to a federal judge. He did not indict the senior FBI agents who told him to do the alteration. He forgot that the CIA was involved. No mention of the CIA in this report at all. So after the famous meeting in the Oval Office of then President Obama, then Vice President Biden, then CIA Director Jack Brennan, then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, in which they decided to weaponize the government and use it as a means to degrade Donald Trump's candidacy. What did John Brennan, the director of the CIA, do? He went out and he called his friends in Great Britain, called the GCHQ, their domestic spying apparatus, and had them spy on Donald Trump. That, of course, is a violation of many federal laws for which they could have been arrested and prosecuted. Nothing there. Finally, as if all of this isn't enough, can anybody be indicted? Answer no. Why? Because John Durham slow-walked, as we say, the report, and issued it after the statutes of limitations on these crimes has expired. So no senior people indicted, no transparency, no accountability equals this will happen again.
Judge, a question about the Hillary plan, because there's a statement in the report about, I think it was a foreign policy aide to Hillary Clinton who suggested to her that they turn away the attention from the email scandal and do a little controversy around Donald Trump, of which apparently Russian intelligence knew. That comes from the report itself. But that foreign policy aide, or it might have been just an aide, I think it was a foreign policy aide to Hillary Clinton, is redacted. Now, if I think Hillary Clinton, foreign policy aide, I'm thinking there's a guy in the White House called Jake Sullivan.
Yeah, I'm sure that that's who it was. He's been, well,
Exactly.
until he worked for Joe Biden, he has been Mrs. Clinton's senior foreign policy aide for years and years and years. He's intimately tied in with the email private server scandal, since he
Right.
was the recipient or the sender of many of her emails that had top secret information on it. And I'm sure that John Durham, consistent with his desire to protect people in the government, wanted to protect Jake Sullivan, who's integral to the catastrophic debacle in Ukraine right now.
Because as a total amateur in this regard, I mean, there's no other reason why you would redact Jake Sullivan's name, right? If the statute of limitations is gone, then what's the other reason other than covering for him, basically?
Correct.
Right?
He's just covering for him to do a favor for the president. You know, there's a culture in the American government, I think you probably know this, that they watch each other's backs. Republicans do it for Democrats, Democrats do it for Republicans, and of course, people in the same party gleefully do it to their colleagues. Members of the government, when they tell an official lie before the Congress, nobody ever gets indicted or prosecuted for that. An official lie is one that makes the government look good. The only people they indict, like Julian Assange or Jack Teixeira or Daniel Ellsberg or Bradley/Chelsea Manning, are the people who tell the truth and make the government look embarrassed. But you can tell a lie under oath, and if it makes the government look good, they'll pat you on the back. They'll never prosecute you. So they're not going to prosecute Jake Sullivan. He could have mentioned Jake's name. As you say, it's too late to prosecute, but why disturb Joe Biden when he's already destroying his own presidency?
And let's not forget about the glaring omission that there probably wasn't even a Russian hack, which was admitted by the head of CrowdStrike himself in December 20th, 2017, as our friend Ray McGovern likes to point out all the time, a very important date, which gets a complete omission in the report. And I think this is the clue, the crux of the issue of the whole Russiagate narrative.
So the American public wasted $10 million on this investigation. It's just another fruitless, useless investigation, which just made sure that Bill Barr and Jeff Sessions and Rod Rosenstein and all those unnamed, and some of them are named, senior FBI people never have to answer for their behavior.
Right. Well, just before we go into our second topic associated with the president, but I want to ask you, do you think the mainstream media will back down now in light of the exoneration of President Trump, or will they double down, knowing the American media like you do?
No, they'll double down. They view this as a catastrophe for Trump, for Trump,
Okay.
because a part of it is Trump's boasting. You know,
Right.
he said, you know, it's going to be a lot of indictments and heads will roll, and of course there were no indictments, but that's just his way of expressing his views by way of exaggeration. But no, the mainstream media, even though he's good for television, is terrified of him in the White House again. And he's doing well, not with Republican leadership, but with Republican rank and file, which is all he needs to appeal to now.
Right.
In fact, he's doing even better with rank and file Republicans since he was indicted. So I expect the media to go a full bore against him, and I expect him to resist it.
Sort of like what's happening with Bobby Kennedy on the left among the rank and file, a lot of independents.
Yes. Bobby Kennedy is, an intellectually honest, anti-war civil libertarian. So those three things appeal to me immeasurably. Now I'm a Ron Paul, Murray Rothbard libertarian. So it's tough for me to vote for anybody for president unless they are of that mindset. So Bobby and I probably disagree on more things than we agree on. However, I profoundly agree with him on war, on whether or not the government can lock people down, whether the government during a so-called pandemic, whether the government can force an experimental chemical in your arms, and who more likely than not killed his uncle and his father. I'm 110% with Bobby on all of that. And for that, I praise him to the skies and can't wait to welcome him someday on my program and into my home.
Indeed. I hope so too, because Bobby has made startling statements that got a lot of people in the Kennedy family ticked off and a lot of politically correct people obviously angry. A few times he's already spoken of the fact that it was the CIA that orchestrated the assassination of his uncle and his father. Now, we know that President Trump was supposed to release the batches of the documents while he was president. He released some, he didn't release all. And I know, Judge, that you had a unique conversation with the former president where he sort of shed light on why he didn't release all the documents. I think this would be very important for our audience if you could relay that conversation to us.
Then President Trump called me with about 2 weeks or 10 days left in his presidency. So we're now in early January 2021. And he was asking my opinion on some pardons and prison commutations he was about to order. I gave him my opinion. And he said, "How you doing?" I said, "Fine. How are you?" He said, "Oh, it's not the best time of my life." I said, "Did you remember a promise you made to me many times and to the public several times that you would release the full JFK trial, or the full JFK file? You only have 2 weeks left," or whatever the time period was before Biden came in which to do it. And he said to me, quote, "Judge, if you had seen what they showed me, you wouldn't release it either." And I said, "Well, who are they and what did they show you?" He said, "I'll tell you sometime when we're in person rather than on the phone with 15 people listening." That was the end of the conversation. So I don't know who they were. I can guess that it was the intelligence community. And I don't know what they showed him. Maybe JFK's head blown open. I don't know. But whatever it was enough to scare one of the strongest men I have ever met in my life. I don't mean physically strong. I mean person who's going to do what he says he's going to do. And that's Donald Trump.
Well, hopefully they will get a kick in the lower behind in 2024. We're all praying and hoping for that because a lot of what happens in the United States influences what happens in my home country. In Poland, from where I'm broadcasting, as a matter of fact, we can say our entire policy is dictated by some guy probably at the American Enterprise Institute or the Department of State. So we're all hoping that change will come, although it's an uphill battle.
So our mutual friend and colleague, Colonel Douglas McGregor, tells me that he has learned, maybe from you, maybe from others as well, that the Polish people are sick and tired of Ukraine, sick and tired of the leadership's willingness to give Ukraine whatever it wants, sick and tired of all the Ukrainian immigrants, that this is not going well for the leadership of the Polish government. I know our time is limited and I shouldn't be asking you questions, but I'm going to guess you, because it's your show, I'm going to guess you probably agree with that.
I can confirm that the stats are showing that Poles are getting tired of this war. They're getting tired of the influx of so-called refugees. They're getting tired of the economic hardships, and things are not looking as rosy as they did on February 24, 2022. And the government is noticing. The government is noticing. And if we were to believe what Seymour Hersh wrote in his latest Substack essay, Poland is apparently leading the charge with a few other states in telling Zelensky to start wrapping this war up, even at the cost of resigning as president of Ukraine. So that's an interesting thing to look out for. But Judge,
that's dynamite. I had not heard that before from the colonel or anywhere else. Is that?
It's on Seymour Hersh's latest report on his Substack. Yeah, everyone can check it out there. So for me, it's hard to believe, but we'll see where it goes. You know, the Lord works in mysterious ways. But before I go, Judge, from a Latin Mass Catholic to a Latin Mass Catholic, I have to ask you, are you more of a solemn Latin Mass fan or a low Mass morning Sunday fan?
I'm solemn high Mass.
Amen.
Which we do have in New Jersey. You know, there are some bishops in the United States who are not particularly traditionalist, but who, when approached by their Latin Mass saying priests and asked about what am I going to do about the Pope's latest motu proprio, and these bishops have said, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, and I think a lot of other people on Mulberry Street would say, forget about it. Basically.
Exactly.
So,
You are very Americanized, young man.
Thank you, Martin Scorsese, and a hell of a lot of other people. Judge, thank you. You've been very gracious with your time. I do hope to do this sometime in the future. We can speak a little bit longer.
You do a great interview. I love you. I love your work. You know how to reach me through my producer. We can do it as frequently as you like.
Thank you very much. Grazie mio. And have a great day. God bless you, and see you soon in our program. Thank you very much.
Your friends know if they want to watch Doug McGregor, Colonel McGregor on my show, it's Judging Freedom on YouTube.
We have all the descriptions in the description box, Judge Napolitano's Twitter and his show, Judging Freedom, which I highly recommend on YouTube. Have a great day, everyone. God bless.
Thank you, Mike.
Take care. See you soon.
God bless you.
Thank you.